February 19th, 1945, 8:59 in the morning, 2 miles off the southern coast of a volcanic island called Iwo Jima. The sea is calm. From the deck of a landing craft, Corporal Daniel Reeves grips the cold metal railing and watches the shoreline grow larger. He is 21 years old, from Ohio, and he has never seen sand that color before. It is not yellow, it is not white. It is black, like crushed coal. Behind him, the thunder of naval guns rolls across the Pacific. Battleships have been firing for days. Smoke drifts over the island in gray curtains. To Reeves, it feels impossible that anything could still be alive under that bombardment. Ahead, the beach looks empty. Too empty. At 9 o'clock, the first wave moves in. Engines roar. The landing craft shudder as they cut through the surf. Reeves hears nothing but the engine and his own breath. The men around him stare forward, faces pale beneath their helmets. Some whisper quick prayers, others say nothing at all. The ramp slams down. Black sand. Reeves runs. The sand is soft and loose, almost like ash. Each step sinks deep, stealing speed. He expected gunfire, he expected chaos. Instead, there's only the sound of boots sinking and waves crashing. Sergeant Thomas Kincaid, a veteran of Saipan, shouts for the men to push forward. He does not trust the silence. He has seen it before. Then the island opens its eyes. From the slopes of Mount Suribachi and from hidden concrete bunkers along the beach, machine guns erupt. Mortars arc high, then drop screaming into the sand. The empty shoreline explodes into motion. Men fall before they reach cover. Reeves dives behind a low ridge of sand that offers almost no protection. The black grains spray into his face as bullets tear through the beach. He hears shouting, screaming, the crack of rifles. The air smells of sulfur and burning powder. The Japanese defenders have not wasted a single shell during the naval bombardment. They have waited. Deep beneath the island, carved into volcanic rock, is a network of tunnels and reinforced chambers. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kurabayashi has spent months preparing this ground. He has ordered his men not to defend the beach itself, but to let the Americans land. Let them crowd the sand. Let them believe the worst is over. Then strike. By mid-morning, the shoreline is a furnace of noise and smoke. Amphibious tractors grind forward, struggling in the soft terrain. Medics crawl between craters, dragging wounded Marines toward makeshift aid stations near the waterline. Reeves sees a Navy corpsman named Samuel Ortiz kneel beside a wounded rifleman. Ortiz works with steady hands, though his face is tight with fear. He presses bandages against a chest wound while bullets snap overhead. He does not look up. Further inland, Mount Suribachi rises like a dark wall. Its slopes are honeycombed with hidden positions. Every time a Marine unit moves, hidden guns open fire from a new angle. There is no clear front line. Kincaid gathers his squad behind a disabled tractor. Sand piles against its tracks. He points toward a concrete pillbox 50 yards ahead. The opening is small, barely visible, but muzzle flashes flicker from inside. They have to silence it. Reeves feels the weight of his pack, the heat building inside his uniform. He nods, though his mouth is dry. 2 Marines lay down covering fire. Another moves with a flamethrower team. The approach is slow. Each step is a fight against the sand and the incoming fire. When they reach the edge of the bunker, the flamethrower ignites. A stream of fire roars into the opening. The sound is not like in the movies. It is deeper, heavier, almost like a furnace breathing. The gunfire stops. For a moment. By noon, nearly 30,000 Marines are on the island. The beach is crowded with equipment, wounded men, shattered landing craft. The sand is churned into a black paste, and still the firing continues from unseen positions. Reeves looks back toward the sea. Ships line the horizon, gray silhouettes against the blue. He had believed this would be quick. Many had. Intelligence officers estimated the island could fall within days. But as the sun climbs higher, it becomes clear. This island is not surrendering easily. Kurabayashi has ordered his men to fight to the last, but not in reckless charges. He wants them to make every yard cost something. Tunnels allow soldiers to disappear and reappear elsewhere. A bunker destroyed in the morning may be reoccupied by afternoon. As dusk approaches, the beach still echoes with sporadic gunfire. Smoke drifts low over the sand. Marines dig shallow foxholes in the volcanic soil, exhausted and shaken. Reeves lies on his back, staring at a sky turning orange. The black sand clings to his uniform, to his face, to his thoughts. He can still hear the machine guns in his ears, even when they pause. This was only the first day. 36 days remain. February 20th, 1945. Dawn. The island does not sleep. Through the night, flares drifted over the beach like falling stars. Snipers fired from hidden cracks in the rock. Engineers worked in darkness, clearing mines while shells burst somewhere inland. Every sound carried across the black sand. Corporal Daniel Reeves wakes to the taste of grit in his mouth. His foxhole is shallow, barely deeper than his helmet. He has not truly rested. No one has. Mount Suribachi looms to the south, its slopes scarred by naval fire but still alive with resistance. The order at first light is clear. The southern tip of the island must be cut off. Suribachi must be isolated. Sergeant Thomas Kincaid moves down the line, voice steady. He assigns sectors, checks weapons, makes brief eye contact with each man. He knows fear spreads quickly when left alone. He gives them tasks instead. Reeves tightens the strap on his helmet. He watches as tanks grind forward again, their tracks slipping in the volcanic sand. The Marines advance in short bursts, moving from crater to crater. The silence from yesterday is gone. Now the island answers every movement with gunfire. Hidden apertures open along Suribachi slope. Mortar rounds drop with mechanical precision. It feels as if the mountain itself is firing back. Private First Class Leonard Brooks, barely 19, crawls beside Reeves. Brooks had joked on the transport ship that this would be another short campaign. Now he says nothing. His hands shake slightly as he loads another clip. By mid-morning, the Marines have pushed several hundred yards inland. That distance has cost dozens of lives. They reach the first line of interconnected bunkers near the base of Suribachi. From above, the position is invisible. From below, it is a maze of reinforced concrete, steel doors, and firing slits no wider than a hand. Flamethrower teams move forward again. Engineers place demolition charges. When one bunker falls silent, fire erupts from another 20 yards away. The defenders do not run. They withdraw underground. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi command is deep within the northern sector, but his design shapes every encounter. He has forbidden large-scale banzai charges. He wants a war of attrition. He wants the Americans to pay for every foot. Reeves learns quickly that destroying a bunker does not mean clearing it. After the fire fades, Marines must approach the entrance carefully. Inside, tunnels slope downward into darkness. The air below ground is thick and hot. Electric wiring snakes along walls carved from volcanic stone. Some chambers are stocked with ammunition and water, prepared months in advance. Corpsman Samuel Ortiz descends into one tunnel after a firefight. He is searching for wounded. The passage is narrow. He moves slowly, aware that a hidden defender could still be inside. He finds 2 injured Marines near a bend in the tunnel. One is conscious, the other is not. Ortiz kneels, checks pulses, works by flashlight while rifle fire echoes faintly from above. Outside, tanks fire point blank into cave openings. The blasts shake the mountain. Smoke pours from cracks in the rock, only to be replaced by new gunfire minutes later from somewhere else. By February 23rd, the southern tip is nearly encircled. That morning, a patrol climbs the slopes of Suribachi. Reeves watches from below as small figures move against the dark rock. He does not know their names. He only sees them struggling upward under sniper fire. At approximately 10:20 in the morning, a small American flag is raised at the summit. A cheer rolls across the beach. For the first time, Reeves feels something close to relief. Ships offshore sound their horns. Marines on the sand wave their helmets. But the relief is brief. Gunfire continues from the north. The main defenses remain intact beyond the airfields in the center of the island. Suribachi is only one piece. Later that day, a second, larger flag is raised. A photographer captures the moment. The image will travel across America, becoming one of the most recognized photographs of the war. Reeves does not see the photograph being taken. He is too busy digging in again, preparing to move north. As Suribachi falls silent behind them, the Marines turn toward a new landscape of ridges and broken ground. Names like Motoyama Airfield and Hill 382 begin to circulate among the units. Each name will soon carry weight. The fighting changes as they move inland. The terrain is tighter, more confined. Ravines twist between rocky outcrops. Every rise hides another fortified position. Kincaid gathers his squad before the next push. His uniform is dark with sweat and sand. He speaks calmly, reminding them to watch for crossfire, to move in pairs. Reeves studies the ground ahead. There are no clear trenches to overrun. Only jagged earth and silent openings that may contain anything. As they advance, machine gun fire erupts from 3 directions at once. The sound bounces off the rock, making it impossible to tell where it began. Brooks drops beside Reeves, breathing hard. A tank ahead of them takes a direct hit from a concealed anti-tank gun. Flames rise quickly. The air smells of burning fuel. This is no longer a landing. It is a siege. By the end of the first week, the southern third of the island is secured. But the cost is already staggering. Casualty lists grow longer each day. Ships offshore receive a steady stream of wounded. Reeves writes a short letter during a rare quiet moment. He tells his mother that he is safe. He does not describe the tunnels. He does not mention the faces he cannot forget. As February turns toward its final days, the Marines prepare for the most fortified ground on the island. Intelligence reports speak of a massive defensive complex in the north, centered around a series of ridges. Kuribayashi forces are waiting there, deep underground, connected by miles of tunnels. Reeves looks north and feels the weight of what remains. Suribachi fell in 4 days. The rest of the island may take far longer. February 24th, 1945. The wind shifts. Smoke that once drifted south now blows back toward the advancing Marines, carrying the sharp scent of burned metal and cordite. The black sand thins as the terrain hardens into broken ridges and jagged rock. Ahead lies the most fortified ground on the island. The men begin to hear a new name whispered across the lines: Hill 382. It does not look impressive from a distance, just another rise in a landscape of shattered stone. But intelligence officers warn that it anchors a defensive network of tunnels, bunkers, and hidden artillery positions. Marines soon give it a different name: the Meat Grinder. Corporal Daniel Reeves moves with his platoon toward the first of several airfields in the center of the island, Motoyama Airfield. Number 1 has already seen heavy fighting. The ground around it is flat and exposed. Crossing it feels like walking across a stage under bright lights. There is nowhere to hide. As Reeves runs across the runway, machine guns erupt from concealed positions on both flanks. The sound tears across the open space. Bullets strike the hard surface, kicking up sparks instead of sand. Private Leonard Brooks stumbles, then keeps moving. His breathing is ragged. Every step across the airfield feels too slow. Sergeant Thomas Kincaid signals for smoke. White clouds begin to spread, but the wind pushes them thin. Mortar rounds crash into the edges of the runway, sending fragments skittering across the concrete. When they reach the far side, Reeves throws himself into a shallow depression in the ground. He looks back and sees medics sprinting into the open to reach wounded men. Corpsman Samuel Ortiz drags a Marine behind a wrecked aircraft frame. The man grips Ortiz's sleeve and whispers something that Ortiz leans close to hear. Ortiz nods, even though he cannot promise anything. The northern defenses are different from those on Suribachi. They are deeper, stronger, layered in overlapping fields of fire. Artillery pieces are hidden in caves with steel doors that swing open only long enough to fire, then close again before counterfire can strike. Each time the Marines think a position is neutralized, fire resumes from another direction. The ground between Hill 382 and the neighboring ridges becomes a maze of interlocking kill zones. Tanks attempt to push forward, but narrow approaches force them into predictable paths. Anti-tank guns wait patiently. One afternoon, Reeves' squad advances along a narrow ridge toward what appears to be an abandoned bunker. It is silent. Too silent. Kincaid raises a hand, signaling caution. The bunker explodes outward in gunfire. 2 Marines drop instantly. Reeves dives behind a rock, heart hammering so hard he feels it in his throat. The firing slit that looked empty moments before now flashes with muzzle bursts. A flamethrower team moves up again, shielded by rifle fire. The operator steps forward, squeezes the trigger, and a stream of fire arcs into the opening. The roar fills the air. Smoke billows out. When it clears, the position is silent. But only that position. The deeper they push into the northern sector, the more the island feels alive beneath their feet. Tunnels allow defenders to shift from one ridge to another unseen. Night attacks become common. Small groups slip through lines under cover of darkness, striking suddenly before fading back underground. Sleep becomes rare. On February 27th, Reeves' unit receives orders to assault a fortified hill near Airfield No. 2. The slope is steep, the surface fractured and sharp. Climbing it under fire is like scaling a wall that shoots back. Brooks is hit by shrapnel midway up the incline. He collapses, stunned but conscious. Reeves crawls to him, dragging him behind a small outcrop. Blood darkens the volcanic rock. Ortiz reaches them minutes later breathless, hands already working. He binds the wound quickly. Brooks tries to speak, but Ortiz presses him still. A stretcher team carries Brooks down the hill under covering fire. Reeves watches until they disappear beyond the ridge. He does not know if he will see his friend again. By early March, progress is measured in yards, not miles. Every ridge gained reveals another behind it. Casualty numbers climb steadily. Commanders rotate exhausted units to the rear when possible, but there's little true rest anywhere on the island. Kuribayashi's strategy continues to shape the battle. His men conserve ammunition. They fire only when they have clear targets. They avoid reckless charges, choosing instead to wait in darkness for opportunity. The psychological strain builds. Reeves begins to flinch at small sounds. A shifting rock, a distant echo, even the wind moving through broken terrain can feel like the start of an attack. Conversations grow shorter, faces grow thinner, yet the advance does not stop. Heavy bombers roar overhead on some days, striking suspected strongholds. Naval guns offshore fire again, though their impact is limited against positions buried deep underground. On March 1st, the Marines capture Airfield No. 2 after days of brutal fighting. The runway is cratered and scarred, but it is secured. Engineers begin repairs almost immediately, working under sporadic sniper fire. The northernmost defenses still hold. Reeves stands on a ridge overlooking ground that has changed hands multiple times. The earth is torn and blackened. The cost of each advance is visible in the stretchers moving rearward and the quiet rows of temporary markers near the beach. He thinks back to the first morning, when the beach looked empty. It feels like a lifetime ago. Now the battle has entered its third week, and the hardest ground still waits ahead. March 8th, 1945. Rain falls lightly over the northern ridges. It turns the volcanic soil slick and dark, filling shell holes with shallow pools. The air is cooler now, but the fighting has not cooled with it. Corporal Daniel Reeves moves carefully along a shattered trench line near a jagged rise known among the men as Turkey Knob. The official maps use grid coordinates. The Marines use whatever name helps them remember where they nearly died. Hill 382 still echoes with sporadic gunfire. Beyond it lies a final cluster of fortified positions near the northern cliffs. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi command post is believed to be somewhere beneath that ground. The resistance has changed again. Instead of large defensive belts, the fighting now breaks into isolated strongpoints. Small groups of Japanese soldiers hold caves and bunkers that must be cleared one by one. Some refuse surrender. Others wait silently until Marines pass, then fire from behind. It becomes a battle of inches. Sergeant Thomas Kincaid crouches beside Reeves, studying a narrow ravine ahead. Intelligence suggests a tunnel entrance hidden among the rocks. No one can see it. Kincaid gestures to a demolition team. They move forward slowly. Every step is deliberate. Reeves covers the approach, scanning shadows. The wind carries the faint metallic smell of explosives already used throughout the week. Suddenly, rifle fire cracks from the left. A concealed firing slit flashes between two stones. Reeves drops and returns fire instinctively. The echo ricochets off the ravine walls, disorienting and sharp. The demolition team pulls back. A tank is brought forward with difficulty, its engine straining over broken ground. The turret rotates, and a single shell slams into the rock face. Stone fragments scatter. Smoke pours out. For a moment, there is silence. Then a grenade rolls from a hidden opening bouncing toward the Marines. Kincaid shouts a warning. The explosion sends dirt and stone into the air. When the dust settles, 2 men are wounded but alive. The fight continues. Days blend together. March 10th, March 12th, March 15th. Reeves no longer checks his watch often. Time feels measured only by the next objective, the next ridge, the next cave. He hears that American casualties have already exceeded many earlier Pacific battles. The realization hangs heavy, though no one speaks it aloud. Corpsman Samuel Ortiz keeps moving between positions, his uniform stained and torn. He has grown quieter. When he kneels beside a wounded Marine, his hands remain steady, but his eyes carry exhaustion that words cannot explain. On March 16th, commanders announced that organized resistance is nearly broken. Some units raise small American flags over captured positions. The news spreads cautiously, but the island has one more answer. That night, scattered Japanese soldiers launch sudden attacks across multiple sectors. Some slip through lines, firing into tents and supply areas. Others detonate hidden explosives left behind in cleared tunnels. Reeves wakes to gunfire in the darkness. Flares burst overhead, turning the ridges into ghostly shapes. He scrambles for his rifle, heart pounding, and the night feels endless. By dawn, the attacks fade. On March 21st, the Marines close in on the last pockets of resistance near the northern cliffs. Intelligence intercepts suggest that Kuribayashi remains somewhere underground, refusing surrender. The terrain narrows toward the sea. Steep rock faces drop sharply into the Pacific. Waves crash below, indifferent to the struggle above. Reeves and his squad approach a final complex of interconnected caves. The entrances are partially collapsed from repeated bombardment. Engineers prepare charges to seal them permanently. Before the explosives are set, a brief exchange of fire erupts from inside. It is short and fierce, then it stops. Silence returns to the cliffs. On March 26, 1945, American command declares the island secured. 36 days after the first landing. Reeves stands near the northern shore, looking south across the length of Iwo Jima. Smoke still rises in thin columns from scattered points. The black sand beaches are crowded with supplies and vehicles. Aircraft engines roar as damaged bombers begin emergency landings on the repaired airfields. The island has changed hands, but the cost is impossible to ignore. Nearly 7,000 American service members have been killed. Many more are wounded. Japanese losses are far greater, with only a small number taken prisoner. Sergeant Kincaid gathers what remains of the original squad. Fewer faces stand in the line now. He speaks quietly, acknowledging those who did not reach this day. Reeves listens, helmet in hand. He thinks of Leonard Brooks, evacuated weeks earlier. He does not know if Brooks survived surgery aboard the hospital ship. He thinks of the first morning on the black sand when the island seemed silent. Now the silence feels different. He walks to the edge of the cliff and watches the Pacific stretch outward, calm once more. The battle is over, but its weight remains, carried by every man who fought here. 36 days for a strip of volcanic rock no more than 8 square miles. And yet, its capture will echo far beyond these shores. March 27, 1945. The morning after the island is declared secure, the guns are mostly quiet now. Only the distant crack of a rifle breaks the stillness as patrols search for isolated holdouts in the northern ravines. The wind moves freely across the ridges for the first time in more than a month. Corporal Daniel Reeves stands near Motoyama Airfield No. 1 and watches a silver B-29 bomber descend from the clouds. The aircraft limps through the sky, one engine trailing faint smoke. Its landing gear lowers slowly. The runway below is scarred and patched, repaired by engineers who worked under fire only days earlier. The bomber touches down hard. bouncing once before settling. It rolls to a stop near waiting ground crews. The crew hatch opens. Airmen climb out, faces drawn, uniforms streaked with oil. They look around at the shattered landscape, at the Marines watching them. One of the airmen removes his helmet and nods in quiet gratitude. Reeves realizes something in that moment. This island is no longer only a battlefield, it is a lifeline. From this strip of volcanic rock, fighter planes will escort bombers all the way to Japan and back. Damaged aircraft will have a place to land instead of ditching in the ocean. Missions that once stretched beyond safe limits will now have support. The cost of the last 36 days begins to take on a larger shape. Sergeant Thomas Kincaid approaches Reeves and gestures toward the runway. More aircraft circle overhead. The sound is steady, mechanical, relentless. It replaces the rhythm of artillery that dominated the past month. Kincaid speaks quietly. He says that history may remember the flag on Suribachi. It may remember the photograph. But he believes the real story lies in the airfields beneath their boots. Reeves nods. He thinks of February 19th at 9 in the morning when the ramp dropped onto black sand. He remembers how the beach looked empty. He remembers how quickly that illusion vanished. He remembers Leonard Brooks' laughter aboard the transport ship. Weeks later, a rumor reaches the unit that Brooks survived surgery and is recovering in Guam. The news spreads carefully, almost cautiously, as if good news might shatter under too much excitement. Corpsman Samuel Ortiz boards a transport ship in early April, reassigned after weeks without pause. Before he leaves, he walks once more along the edge of the beach. He kneels briefly near a row of simple markers placed above temporary graves. He does not speak. He does not need to. Far beneath the surface of the island, tunnels remain sealed and silent. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kurabayashi is believed to have died in the final days of fighting, though details remain uncertain. His strategy shaped one of the most difficult battles the Marine Corps has ever faced. There were no sweeping charges across open fields, no single moment that ended it all, only steady, grinding progress, ridge by ridge, cave by cave. The numbers will be recorded in reports. Nearly 7,000 Americans killed, more than 20,000 Japanese defenders dead, thousands wounded. 36 days of combat across 8 square miles. But numbers do not carry the weight of the black sand under boots. They do not capture the echo of gunfire inside volcanic tunnels. They do not show the look in a young Marine eyes when the ramp drops for the first time. In the months that follow, more than 2,000 B-29 bombers will make emergency landings on Iwo Jima. Thousands of airmen will step onto this island alive because it was taken. Reeves boards a transport in late March. As the ship pulls away, he stands at the rail and looks back. Mount Suribachi rises at the southern tip, no longer flashing with gunfire. The ridges in the north appear still and distant. From this angle, the island looks small, almost fragile. It does not reveal what it demanded. He thinks about what it means to capture a place that does not want to be taken, what it means to face an enemy who has prepared for every step, who has chosen to fight underground rather than retreat. 36 days, longer than many predicted, shorter than it felt. For the men who fought there, time stretched and compressed in strange ways. Minutes felt endless under fire. Weeks disappeared into smoke and noise. For viewers today, it is a chapter in a history book, a famous photograph, a statistic. But if you close your eyes, you can imagine the sound of the first landing craft engine cutting through calm water. You can feel the soft pull of black sand under your boots. You can hear the sudden eruption of hidden guns from a mountain that seemed silent. The island that took 36 days to capture was never only about territory. It was about endurance, about preparation, meeting, determination, about the cost of moving forward when every step is contested, and about the men on both sides who endured conditions few could imagine on a piece of volcanic rock in the Pacific in the final months of a global war. The sea around Iwo Jima is calm again, but the story of those 36 days still echoes.